I bought the craziest monitor that you've never seen. This is the world's first self-bending OLED display. It has motors in the stand that flexes the screen from flat to curved, which is absolutely insane. But there is something that scares me about owning this, and it's not the size of the box.
Man, this thing is so big, I can't even get it on the desk. Whew, I need a breather. Let's get it open. You can't see me. I've opened the box thinking, oh, I just opened the box, then we lift it off. But we don't have enough clearance from the desk to the ceiling. We don't have enough clearance, so that isn't going to work. So we might have to break these staples over here. What happens? Can we lower the desk? No, that's the lowest. Gosh! Alright. Oh wow. Oh, it's not that big. Well, it's big, but not as big as we first feared. Where do I lift it from? Seriously. Let's go, Frank. Come on. Come on. Ah. Oh wow. That looks amazing. Oh, here's the, wow. Oh, here's all the, is this accessories? No, it's just polythene. That's so much, oh! Oh! I got like a static electric shock. Ah!
Let's pretend that didn't happen. I'm already an owner of the LG CX from 2020, and it was only 12 months ago that I reviewed the LG C2, a TV that this monitor bears a lot of resemblance to. It shares the same 4K 120Hz OLED EVO panel and a lot of other features. Even the controllers look similar, although they are very different. This time there is a new button that controls the curve of the display.
You can have up to 3 different presets assigned to this button, so if you press it by default, it will take you straight to the curvature mode 1, which is 50%. And as you can hear, it does make quite a loud whining noise as it transitions. Now, apparently there is a transition effect sound that you can enable, and it is enabled straight out of the box. And I tried updating the firmware to see if it wasn't working quite correctly, but it only works when you power the TV on and power the TV off, when it basically resets itself or goes back to its previous state. But when you're actually using it when it's on, it just winds away very irritatingly. Now, the third mode is taking you to 100% curvature, which will give you a 900R curve. So it's almost like the same as the human eye 1000R curve on the Samsung Odyssey Neo G9. So it's a very large amount of curvature. Then if you press the button again, it will return you back to completely flat. And then you'll get that really irritating noise, which isn't the worst in the world, but you know, it's there.
You do have the ability to customize these presets by just basically pressing down on the D-pad, and you can scroll around and set it to an exact increment by basically 5% changes to get the perfect setup for whatever you want. I'm a big fan of LG's WebOS. It makes setting up your TV fast and easy. You have all of your favorite smart apps that you can sign into straight away using a QR code. It has clear explanations about each setting and what it actually does and how it impacts the picture quality. So within a couple of minutes, you are good to go. Using the large array of connections at the rear, such as the 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, I hooked up my PS5 and Xbox Series X. And to keep things clean and tidy, inside of the box there are these covers for your cable management. It's now time to see this in action, but first the peel.
There is a huge debate about whether this is a monitor or a TV. Technically, it is a TV as it does have antenna ports, but at the same time, it's also marketed as a gaming monitor. I think it's really a hybrid, the perfect gaming monitor that's immersive to use when it's curved, and then also the greatest bedroom TV you could ever wish for when it's flat. The versatility of this product is also assisted by the included soundbar Dolby Atmos speaker system in the stand. First impressions of actually gaming on this display, it's absolutely fantastic. It feels much more refined than the C2 and older versions of the OLED panel. Although it shares the exact same spec of last year's LG C2 in regards to what the display can actually do, there's something about it that feels way more premium, and that's not the price. Sure, this does cost around $3,000, which is double the price of a regular 42-inch OLED from LG with the exact same screen. However, because the sound system is like 10 times better with that soundbar in the stand, and it supports your Dolby Atmos and things like that, it levels it up considerably more. You can crank it so loud and play like single player games sat quite far back and have this insane like cinematic experience without using a cliche line that every reviewer uses. In addition, this whole package offers things that you just don't get from a standard gaming monitor. At the moment, I'm actually running an LG HDMI 2.1 display on my main desk setup, and it's riddled with problems. Firstly, the HDR support's terrible. It's like 400 nits, so you got really dim HDR, whereas because this is a gaming monitor that's technically got a TV panel in it, you have 1000 nits peak brightness, so you get an insane television display. It manages to have everything you want from a high-end gaming monitor and also a high-end TV and just meshes the two together. If, for example, we take a look at the display settings and what is actually supported, you can see within the video modes, we can turn every single box on. 442 color, Dolby Vision Gaming at HDR10, and also, if we go to the TV details, you'll see every single box has a green tick, and the LG displays are the only ones in the market that allow you to do everything that the Xbox Series S and Series X is actually capable of. Some other high-end TVs usually don't support some of these options over here, such as the 10-bit color and Dolby Vision Gaming. It's all crossed out. But obviously the biggest question is regarding the curve, and is there actually any reason for this? So it's really easy to get into the curve mode. You literally just press a single button within a click of a button, and you are within your curvature mode. And then it takes only a matter of a few seconds to actually get to its curvature state. And when you're playing in this curve mode, I must admit, for FPS games, it has this real great sense of immersion, the most cliche word ever, but it really does draw your focus into the center of the screen rather than being distracted by what's happening in the top left and right corners with all this sort of kill board and all that type of stuff. Now, I must admit, when I was playing third-person games, I actually preferred it being flat. However, having the curved display all changes when you're playing FPS shooters. You can sit closer to the screen, especially if you're a mouse and keyboard player, have it wrap literally right around you, and it levels it up considerably. And then you have the hybrid performance of this display, where if you were just playing like a couch co-op multiplayer game, some FIFA or something with a friend, you can just grab your controller, go back to it being flat, so then the pair of you can sit further away from the display, and you have complete flexibility over what situation you want to actually play and what style of game. So for example purposes, this is a third-person game. It's the GTA Vice City remaster that came out last year that was absolutely awful, but I don't have any other third-person game on my Xbox at the moment that's a decent example other than on my PS5 with Uncharted and them sorts of games. But on the third-person games, it's not terrible with the curve. It's perfectly fine. Like I would probably play like this now and again. However, there's something about having it flat that just feels a little bit more natural for this type of game. I think because when you're playing third-person games, you're looking at a lot of stuff in the top right and top left regarding the map and whatever else you're doing. And the interactive things like press triangle to do this type of stuff. I think it's nicer to have it flat so you can just sort of look around the display without, twisting your neck around when you're sat in the middle.
Of course, console gaming was always going to be good. At the end of the day, this is a TV. But my big question is, how does it perform with my PC? When I reviewed the LG C2, I had some of the worst issues ever when using it as a monitor. The screen would randomly go black, it flickered green, a truly awful experience. And the LG Flex shares the same panel and also operating system, so does it share the same problems? Thankfully, I can report that no issues were experienced. The display was flawless, hands down the best gaming monitor that I have ever used. I actually started playing better in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 at a much higher level than I previously was on my 27-inch monitor. Genuinely, I forgot how much I enjoy playing my PC games on a slightly larger screen. I do think that I play a little bit better, it's just personal preference. The HDR support also adds extra dynamic range to the graphics, so the enemies are easier to spot in the darker maps, as the difference between the dark and light section has much greater detail. This then combined with enabling ray tracing, the lighting was incredibly vibrant. In terms of productivity, the monitor is very pleasant to use. It's 25% less reflective than previous LG OLED TVs, helping massively reduce eye strain and also increase comfort levels. However, one of my favorite features is definitely multi-view, where you can work on your PC and also watch TVs and movies on the other side of the screen within your smart apps.
On the topic of the gaming performance, let's discuss the Game Optimizer. This is an additional menu that lets you monitor all of the game mode parameters that are enabled and disabled on your display. So you can monitor things like your FPS, whether VR HDR support is on, and then diving into the game optimizer menu, you can actually adjust these parameters further. So you can change the type of variable refresh rate, whether it's G-Sync or AMD FreeSync, and also probably my favorite feature is reducing blue light. This lets you play late at night and basically just drop down the color temperature of the display to reduce things like eye strain. Another really cool feature is the new wallpaper mode, or alternatively, you could refer to this as basically an always-on display. Now, when you power down the display, if you choose this within the power settings, it will basically go to this wallpaper that will just rotate through the gallery, but you can also have it do things such as a clock. So basically the screen goes black and it just has a clock, very similar to what you get on like Android devices. And then you do have this ability to still completely shut down your TV, and you can do a shortcut where you just press and hold the power button to skip all of that rubbish if you're not interested.
When on PC, you do get an accurate FPS counter within the game optimizer, and also aspect ratio options so you can play either at 21:9 or 32:9. Perfect for if you want to experience ultra-wide gaming. From my testing, it does drop the resolution down to 1080p, and the HDR is also disabled, so the screen isn't very bright, making this feature rather redundant and useless.
The stand has a lot of great features. There is a 40-watt speaker system with support for Dolby Atmos, and they sound fantastic. It keeps the setup so clean without the need for additional soundbars and speaker cables like I've had to use in the past with other monitors in this price range. In addition, at the rear, you will see these core lighting effects which can be customized within the settings and add a nice splash of color to the wall. Plus, the colors can be synced with whatever's happening on screen, helping you take the ambience of your room to the next level. I must admit, these lights can be a little bit distracting when gaming, but are definitely a nice touch when watching movies. At the bottom of the stand, you do also have a headphone jack, a USB port, and a KVM switch that lets you use the same accessories across a range of different devices, whether that be your display or PC.
Also, consider subscribing. We're almost at 200k. And if all of you returning actually subscribed, we'd have almost 3 million subscribers, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the videos I can make for you. So try and help me out.
Also, let's not forget the height adjustability and build quality. When using the LG C2, there is no height adjustability options and the cheap plastic feet look rubbish. Which does make it difficult to use on your desk because it's never the right height. You're either looking down or it's too high, and then you have to buy an additional like desk shelf thing to put it on that costs a fortune from like Grovemade or whatever that brand is. So at least having the height adjustability sort of resolves that issue.
I actually have some problems with adjusting the height of this stand. No matter how hard I try and push up on this unit, it's just locked in its lowest position. If we inspect inside the stand, you can see here we have the rail that's used for sliding this module up and down. And right next to the rail are the power cables for the flexible motorized arms. And this power cable is crammed right up against the rail, which means it's completely jammed, which is why it won't move.
This is really disappointing quality control from LG. I could try and unjam it with this little tool, but I don't know whether it'll break it.
Can you remember when I said this at the start of the video?
But there is something that scares me about owning this.
Well, I fear because this monitor has complex moving parts, when will it break and what happens if it does? Will it be stuck in its curved or flat position forever? Will the monitor become a big waste of money and feel redundant? And can anybody fix it easily? This is a massive factor to consider that you don't usually have to when you purchase a much cheaper regular display. For $3,000, you could end up with a huge headache on your hands and a lot of buyer's remorse. On average, a household replaces a TV every 7 to 8 years, and because LG categorizes this as a TV, you only get a 12-month warranty, not a 24-month warranty like with their monitors. And I guess there is a high chance that something could go wrong because this is the world's first type of bendable OLED TV with motors like this. It's uncharted territory.
If you want to see the cheaper version of this TV and the flickering issues that I had last year, you should check out this video next.